Now, your health, your safety. This is ABC7 News.
I'm Kristen Z. Welcome to our daily special called Getting Answers. We're asking experts your question every day at 3 to get answers for you in real time. Now, we know you have questions about Governor Newsom's announcement today, allowing more businesses to reopen under new guidelines. So we have ABC7 News contributor and San Francisco Chronicle insider Phil Mateer and Governor Newsom's former communications director and current CEO of the Press Shop, Nate Ballard, joining us later. But first, since the main discussion today is about restaurants, we've invited on the show 3 Bay Area restaurant owners to get their take on the new guidelines. So let's show you those guidelines. They include screening guests for COVID-19 symptoms, having disposable or online menus, no preset tables, with the napkins all folded, no shared condiments like salt and pepper shakers, strongly encouraging the use of face coverings for customers. Employees within 6 feet of customers must wear a mask and covering, and asking customers to wait in their car until their table is ready. And bar areas must remain closed. There's a total of 60 items on that checklist. This is just part of it. And the county must first be approved or approve this to move into this part of stage 2, if you will, before restaurants can open in this capacity. So we mentioned we have some of the most popular restaurant owners here with us today. George Chen, say hello, owner and founder of China Live in San Francisco. Zaid Ayub, owner of Saj Mediterranean in San Mateo. And saying ciao is Enzo Rosano, the owner of Lacondo Ravello in Danville. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
I have to just, full disclosure to our viewers, I've had each of your food and it's all fantastic. Your food is fantastic, hospitality great, and I know you've been conscientious in terms of being able to operate safely at this time. So I want to know, based on the guidelines we saw today, when do you each think you can start dine-in again? George, I'll start with you.
Well, it really depends on what the San Francisco guidance will be. I expect Mayor Breed to give us some timing soon, because the last time I think the state issued it, and then the mayor came out with their guidance about us shutting down shelter in place until May 30th. So we're planning for a early June opening, hopefully partial opening, pending these guidelines. And what else in terms of capacity, which wasn't talked about? Is it 50%? Is it limited to 100 seats? So there's still a lot of questions remaining.
Enzo, how about you? When do you think you can make those adjustments and reopen for dine-in?
Kristen, we hope to end of May. Today we get all the kind of guidelines, and we get ready. We'll be training all our employees, and we try to make the restaurant just perfect for our customer to feel safe, and most important also for all our employees to come and work in a safe environment.
Yeah, Zaid, how about you? When do you think you could reopen for dine-in? And then also go ahead and show us some of the changes and adjustments you've already implemented.
Sure. So we have 13 different locations all over California. So the opening for dining is going to vary based on the jurisdiction that we're in and when they're going to allow people to go back. For example, LA just extended their shelter in place until July 1st. We're expecting that to open up in June. We currently have 6 out of the 13 locations actually open for takeout and delivery. And those ones will be quite easily, we could open the dining rooms once we have all the guidance from the cities and the counties that we're in. Obviously, we're going to abide by reduced capacity in the stores. We already abide by a lot of the requirements in terms of spatial distancing, in terms of masks and all of that. And I'll show you a little bit. I don't know how we're going to do this without, actually I'll show you. So this is one of our locations in San Mateo. I know we've been in. We already marked all the dining rooms closed. We are in line, so we have all of the floor guided where people need to go. We moved our coat shelves right there.
Hey, Zaid, I'm going to stop you right there, only because The audio is a little funky, and I'm going to hope that your audio improves. But George, I want to ask you, do you find any part of these guidelines challenging? For example, screening guests for symptoms? I mean, do you feel comfortable doing that?
Well, we don't have a choice. I think safety is going to be the number one concern for anybody venturing out to dine now. I've talked to tons of people, tons of friends, and just kind of doing surveys, and everybody says, I'm dying to go out, but I want to make sure that it's a safe place and that I feel like I'm not going to catch anything going to a restaurant. And so that's our main concern. And, these guidelines are tough. I think the toughest one, we are going to do temperature checks. You got my first thermometer gun actually through Amazon today. We have plexiglass screens.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to do contact tracing. It's an inconvenience for a lot of people who are afraid of privacy concerns, but it is something that people will feel safe and they'll be willing to come back and try our restaurants over and again.
Enzo, I know you're, really a vibrant host. You always, greet your customers with a, hey, Bella, and a big hug. I know it's been hard for you not to do that. But talk to me about how you're going to change the interaction between your staff and your customers.
Well, Bella, I think, this is this time where we need everybody help. Starting from us, our wonderful customers, to our employees. It's a win-win situation. Everybody try to do a little work, try to make things work. It's new. It's new for us. It's new for them. And, right now, will be better than nothing. It will be not the same experience where we used to give to our wonderful customer. And I hope, will be a lot of collaboration, from everyone, and we can go through this. And, it's a little tough time. But, with a little effort from everyone, we can make things work. And that's, will be a win-win situation, But for sure we need... we hope to get everybody collaboration. And, people try to be a little bit smiling. And we got to go through this. But then it's everybody a little effort.
Zaid, I'm going to hope that your audio is a little better now. I am wondering if you have already removed anything that might be common touch points, like salt and pepper shakers, condiment bars. I know those were things that the governor mentioned today.
Yes, we did. We had a self-service bar where you could have our spices and our condiments. We actually individually pack that in individual containers, and we actually give it to the customers per order. Same thing with the napkins and the forks and the knives. And we actually don't allow customers to handle any of the product. We do everything for them. We did start taking the temperature for our employees initially. And that's something that we might consider doing for the customers coming in. Obviously, we'll have to abide by the guidelines as stated. It's a new normal. It's just a new way of doing things. We love our guests and our employees, and we work as teams. And we really spend a lot of time and effort in our digital experience now, where we can reach out to people more and offer better communication and guidance through our digital platforms. And I personally believe that's going to be here to stay.
Yeah. Now, George, in addition to China Live, which is a big, vibrant place in San Francisco, Chinatown, you have the upstairs 8 tables, right? That's a fine dining establishment. The rule of not being able to have the table settings with the napkins, cutlery, glassware, and providing only when asked, that's very challenging for a place like that, like 8 tables.
Yeah. Fine dining is going to be hit hardest because there's an intimate service component to fine dining. It's all that tableside conversation and touches and steps. Luckily for us at 8 tables, it was designed to be like sit-on-site or private chateau cuisine. So all the 8 tables were fairly wide apart, more than 6 feet apart already. The difficulty is if you can't approach a table within 6 feet with if you're wearing a mask, if you're 6 feet away, it's very hard to even drop food. And if you have a plexiglass barrier, that certainly doesn't feel right for a fine dining experience. And I certainly don't want to go to a restaurant where the next table has a big X on it or tape over it, like a crime scene. So I think it's going to be a challenge for sure. There's going to be a lot to learn, trial and error.
Yep.
We're going to follow these guidelines strictly, but it's going to be tough.
All right, let's take it over to our live stream platforms right now because we're getting a lot of viewer questions about how the restaurant experience is going to work. So we'll answer some questions over there and come back on ABC7 in just a few minutes after a short break.
In commercial break.
All right, gentlemen, I'm seeing a question from folks saying, how do you expect us to eat with our masks on? Now, I understand you're allowed to remove it while eating, but do you anticipate kind of policing customers to keep their masks on the whole time while waiting for their food? Who wants to take that one?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Look, enforcement's going to be an issue. When you're going out to eat, you're not just eating and not talking. If you're going to do that, you might as well sit in your home and eat by yourself. So you're going to converse. We're social animals, and I'm not going to force people to put their mask on when they're not eating. As long as there's talk about groups of 6, maybe 10. The CRA recommended 10 people at a table, and some said only family members can dine with you. All these things are yet to be determined, and we need to figure out what that is. I'm not going to force somebody to put on their mask and then take it off. We're not policemen. We're here in the hospitality business.
What do you gentlemen think? Someone is asking about how are you going to maintain the safety of restrooms, with that being a communal area and restrooms, people using that.
Attendant.
Oh.
We're going to have the extra help. We're going to have multiple people at the front desk doing temperature, contact tracing, keeping them 6 feet apart, even managing the sidewalk where people may be waiting in cars because we have a 100-foot white zone. We're going to have a bathroom attendant, make sure people don't crowd in there because they don't know who's in the stalls. So it's going to be a lot of extra labor, which we really can't afford, but what are you going to do? This is a new environment.
Right. All right, gentlemen, I think we're about to come back on air. We have 20 seconds, so hang on to your thought.
All right.
All right.
15. We are back in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're back with popular restaurant owners around the Bay Area. George Chen, owner and founder of China Live in San Francisco, on the upper right there. Zaid Ayub, owner of Saj Mediterranean in San Mateo, there on your right bottom there. And Enzo Rosano, the owner of Locondo Ravello and Locondo Positano in Danville and Lafayette. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, so this time I think I'll start with you, Enzo, which is, the governor did not say the percentage that you need to operate at in terms of your capacity. He's kind of leaving it up to the restaurants using, the guidelines. Do you think for you that's going to be 30%, 50%, or what? And what does it need to be for you to actually, I don't even want to say make a profit, but break even?
Well, I think more than 25 or 30%, they will require a social distance. Maybe try to get 6, 8 foot apart between tables. And then again, it's tough. It's very challenging because our manager, our chef, they used to make a very good salary and make good money. Mm-hmm. And now with working only 25% of capacity, everybody got to get adjusted. Everybody got to get cut. And also, we hope we can get help from the landlord. Because, if I can only work at 25% of capacity, my landlord has to understand that I cannot pay the full rent. So I don't think this is time to make money. It's want to be more time to survive and to go through this. And hopefully, one day we can laugh all this. You know, that's my hope. You know.
Now, Zaid, I wonder if many of your restaurants, or I should say employees, have you noticed, have they left the industry or left the Bay Area?
Well,
Not so many yet.
Okay.
Oh,
How about you, Zaid? Have you noticed a departure?
Most of our employees are intact, and we're lucky we have a great staff. Everybody that's not working is really calling us wanting to come back. So as we open up, we expect to hire everybody again, and it's a challenge in the Bay Area. There's some people that might be on unemployment that don't want to come back.
I see.
I think we're lucky. Our team members.
Yeah, that's pretty lucky if you've retained most of your staff. George, I got to ask you, nobody wants to raise prices during a time like this when economically everyone's suffering and you're already having to work hard to bring people back. But given the fact that if you're operating at, say, 25%, 30% capacity, and, you know, that doesn't mean your costs are much lower in terms of your staffing, especially if you need the bathroom attendants to make sure there's social distancing and the wiping down of, you know, handles afterwards. Are you going to have to raise prices to make ends meet?
Well, you know, we slowly have crept up our prices in the 3 years plus that we've been open, because we're in Chinatown and people have a perception in Chinese food should be cheap, big portion, probably unhealthy, and we've changed that perception with high quality, you know, ingredients and cooking. We may have to raise a little bit because of just the extra cost of doing business, but that doesn't really address the fact that if you're doing, we anticipate doing at best 40% of our previous sales levels, and we were one of the highest grossing restaurants in the entire Bay Area. At that level, with our overhead, we can't really survive. So we actually have to pivot beyond what we sell inside our walls. Even with delivery business increasing, you know, sevenfold, it's still not going to be able to sustain what the model was originally. So we have to get into more distribution, more into retail, e-commerce of our products, because we have a market as well.
Well,
So,
I got to say, I get that, George. I understand why you have to pivot. And your chili oil, black bean sauce are excellent, so I'm going to have to place an order. George Chen, Zaid Ayub, and Enzo Rosano, three great restaurateurs or restaurant owners in the Bay Area. We do appreciate your time and thoughts today. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Ciao.
Ciao,
Bye-bye.
Bella.
All right.
再见.
Zaijian, yes. When we come back, ABC7 News contributor Phil Mateer and Governor Newsom's former communications director Nathan Ballard will be here to unpack these new rules. Be right back.
We are in commercial break.
7.5 minutes with him? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, George, Enzo, and Zaid. You guys were fantastic.
Yeah,
Let's do it again soon.
See you soon, all right?
Bye.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, Phil.
Hey.
All right. Phil is here.
Grazie, ciao.
Bye. I'm still hearing Ciao and Bella. Ciao and Bella. They're funny. Right. Isn't Enzo just the funniest? He's so cute, right? Okay, Phil, so I don't know how much of that you were hearing, but they definitely expressed, hey, I'm not going to be the one to tell my guests to put their mask back on and police them. That's almost impossible. And then also, you know, even though they were saying, we'll, you know, if they say we must screen our guests for symptoms, we'll try our best. But everyone's a little hesitant about that, too. Like, what if my guest, you know, refuses to have their temperature taken? I'm going to chase them around the restaurant, you know, with a thermometer. It's not easy.
No. And I'm not sure how many of these are actually going to be enforced. How do you enforce and make sure somebody's doing it? You know, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be easy. It's just not going to be necessarily. We have rules and then we have reality.
Yep. All right. Good stuff. And Nate's up too?
Is Nate up?
He's up, but there's nobody there. He's connected.
Oh, there he is. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Eric, we haven't really gotten into the other things that are.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have those other industries? The outdoor museum, shopping mall, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Wait, so what should I start with?
5, 4.
Okay.
3.
Got it. All right, earlier we heard from local restaurant owners about what these new guidelines mean. Now let's bring back our dynamic duo, if you will, to talk about other implications from Governor Newsom's briefing today. So joining us now, ABC7 News contributor and San Francisco Chronicle insider Phil Matier, and Governor Newsom's former communications director and current CEO of the Press Shop, Nathan Ballard. Hey, guys.
All right.
All right, before we jump into it, let's just quickly go over again some of the headlines.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good. Okay, let's look at the guidelines that Governor Newsom issued today. He announced the phased opening of more industries, including offices that cannot telework, malls and strip malls, but for pickup only, and outdoor museums, like a botanical garden, for example. Pet grooming is now listed under what can operate with modifications. We've heard from a lot of you on that particular field, the dog grooming, so there it is. The governor also said Butte County and El Dorado County have been approved to move deeper into phase 2. He said 2 other counties could get approved today, and he's talking with 27 total counties about this. Interesting, the word approval. I thought it didn't actually have to be state stamp of approval for those counties to say we are ready to move into the, deeper part of phase 2, guys.
Well, you have your aspirations and then you have what's going on the ground. The governor is doing what he can, which is basically sort of lay out broad strokes, not necessarily pinning him or the state down. Now, last week they were sending out inspectors and warning people in nail salons, hair salons, and bars you could lose your license for opening up early. This time what we're seeing is a loosening of the reins, somewhat, not much. I'm not sure how it's going to play out economically. I'm not sure the restaurants involved in this are going to be able to stay open with the restrictions that are applied. I'm not sure the stores are going to be able, how well they're going to do with curbside service. But there's also, there's this balance between what the state aspires to and then what the local counties allow. And I think that is really into focus right now. The entire nation is watching what's going on in Fremont between Tesla, the state, and the Alameda health director over reopening that plant.
Yeah, that's an interesting battle that, Nate, I hope you can get into because, when you listen to Governor Newsom, it sounds like he's almost willing to play the role of mediator between Alameda County and Tesla.
Yeah, I think that, first of all, there's a long relationship between Gavin Newsom and Mr. Musk. And they work together. They actually, I think, launched Tesla at San Francisco City Hall when Tesla came to California. They've known each other and have been friendly for a long time. And, obviously, Elon Musk has been sort of flaming out on Twitter and making a lot of noise around the shutdown, and, tempers are running hot. And there's got to be some sort of compromise between Alameda County and Tesla that is going to work for everybody. They've got to be able to resume production in a way that's safe. And I think, frankly, Tesla is known for its innovation, and they should be able to figure out a way to keep their employees safe and get the production line moving without further spread of the disease. And I think that Governor Newsom understands that, and I think we will see a workable solution to this conflict between the county and Tesla pretty soon.
Yeah, it does sound like all the stakeholders have an interest in getting that resolved soon. I want to talk about the restaurants. You heard from the 3 restaurant owners who are with us. They understand that, one of the guidelines is now screen guests for symptoms, but they expressed a little uncertainty about how they would actually do that. I mean, what if you have a customer who refuses to have their temperature taken? Do you chase them around with a thermometer? That seems highly unlikely, Phil.
It is, but what we have here is a situation that you will likely see repeated around and around the Bay Area as we move on. And it's a big question. If you're opening a shop, right now, I'm going to be honest with you. The most thing I hear from is people saying, when can I get my hair cut? Especially women. They want it back, okay? They want some sort of semblance of normalcy. But let's say you went into a shop to get your hair cut. Would you have to show that you'd been tested? Would you have to show, let's say, you get your temperature taken? Do you get your temperature taken every time you turn around? They're talking about possibly taking temperatures on mass transit and have everybody wearing masks. So, Kristen, I don't know how you do it unless you say, unless you let me take your temperature, you don't come in the restaurant. But then who's going to take the temperature if I'm already running on a budget? And the rest of these rules for opening the restaurants are so you can't even share salt and pepper shakers. You can't have the bar section open. It's going to be tough enough. I don't know if screening is going to be added in that. And also, what are you going to do about people? How are they supposed to eat their meals with their masks on?
Oh, yeah, we're seeing that question a lot, actually. And Nate, there's a political issue here, too. And the governor understands because he was in the restaurant business. That's the hospitality business. You're asking them to do some things that are contrary to being hospitable.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I think that what you need to remember about restaurants and hotels and the hospitality business as they open up is that it's important for the customers to feel safe. So we're going to reach a point where, you know, if you walk into a restaurant in San Francisco right now and it's crowded with people eating, you're going to walk right out, because right now in San Francisco, the customers aren't ready to put themselves at risk like that. However, if you're in Butte County or El Dorado County and you walk into a restaurant and the tables are spaced out 10 feet apart and there are not as many people milling about on the street, you're going to feel more comfortable sitting there in a well-ventilated restaurant. So it really is a case-by-case situation. Now, obviously, we're not going to turn restaurateurs and business owners into doctors who have temperature. But is it reasonable to expect restaurants to post at the door a sign that says, please, if you're sick, don't come in. Please, if you have a fever, don't come in. And also to see if somebody looks physically sick, to have a word with them. I mean, these are reasonable accommodations that business owners can make as we slowly reopen society. And I just want to, this is a moment in time that we've never seen before. On September 10th, 2001, it would have been unthinkable that we needed to, take your shoes off before you enter an airplane and take your belt off. But the world changed then, and in the same way, the world is changing now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Phil, do you see any element of politics in terms of the industries that have the loudest voices or the best lobbying that may have gotten a little ahead in the game?
It'd be the loudest voices because they usually have the most members, the loudest lobbying because they're very active at it. The construction business is one of those. Over all of this, if there's a final point to be made, is that the governor and everybody is still behind the scenes bracing for what they fear could be a second wave. So what we're seeing is some loosening up here, some testing, but they're still afraid that something else could happen. And also, although we might not be feeling it here, it's still hitting Los Angeles hard. And he's talking to Los Angeles area as well as us. And that's one of the things he's surfing is one area versus the other. And we're looking at ours. They're looking at a different situation down there. But California's a nation state, and we've got them all.
Yep, and that's all the time we have for our discussion today. A good one, as always. A reminder, Phil Mateer's column appears in the San Francisco Chronicle Wednesdays and Sundays. And we're taking a break on air now, but the conversation continues on live stream. Oh, 5 seconds for the goodbye? We had so much time. Okay, do we have time to chat more here? Okay, gentlemen, I've got to ask you, there are a lot of people I'm seeing questions about hair, as you mentioned, Phil. And, this is where I guess people are wondering about the logic, right? If both parties are wearing a mask and, a salon is less busy than a restaurant typically, how is that any different from like a server wearing a mask that comes to put the food down in front of you versus, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, they're making decisions based in part on how many employees it impacts and different things about industries. I spoke, for example, with the mayor's office in San Francisco when they said they were going to open up allow for some curbside pickups. And one of the things that wasn't included, you could get places that sell sewing equipment and you could get places that had other flowers, but you couldn't sell clothes on the corner. You couldn't have pickup on that. And I said, why not? And they said, well, there's too many clothing stores, small clothing stores in San Francisco, and that could set off a trigger, and a lot of people would start showing up, all right? That's the same in part with beauty salons and things like that. Is it a victim of its own popularity? Everybody would want to go there right out of the gate. Would that be too much for everyone to handle right now on a macro health?
Got it. I got it. So it may not even be the higher degree of danger in what it is you're doing right there, but there's all that other. So Nate, I've got to ask you then, also people are asking about, dentist. I can't see my dentist, and that's going to lead to like needing a, root canal versus just getting something else done. So the situation could be worse if we keep postponing. When you're a politician and a leader, do you consider the ramifications like that too?
Yeah, I mean, all of these, if there's a group of hairdressers out in front of the state capitol protesting, it's going to get the governor's attention. Same with dentists. I mean, these are services that we are used to being able to have on demand,
15.
and we've been deprived of them for 2 months. And a lot of us are chomping at the
I'm
bit.
told to say goodbye. Sorry. Bye, Nate. Until next time. Okay. And that's going to do it for now. World News Tonight is coming up next. Have a great day. Eric, that was overall a very good show. Yeah. Thanks, Phil.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, folks. Thanks for joining us on Facebook.